Hurts and Nick Sirianni's relationship is, quote, a work in progress. Well, they better have worked it all out because we don't have time to waste with Nick Sirianni's cannoli crap. Dallas still stinks. You're by the way, King Dingbat here. A work in progress is what they're saying about the relationship with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. A work in progress. Well, this work of progress should have been solved during this offseason. If the recent and newest reports about Nick Sirianni are true, then it was his offense, it was his control, it was his problem, and he should have gotten the blame. Matter of fact, how do you fire your offensive coordinator if the problems were with the coach? Now, we're going to get into it in a second, but before we do that, I want to talk to you guys. I want your opinion on something, all right? I'm sitting here, it's hotter than hell. I'm out visiting family, and I'm hotter than hell here, and I might be losing my mind. I might be going like a little goo-goots. You know, the heat's getting to me, but I want to know if you guys would do this, because I don't think I would. But let me ask you guys something. Here's a proposed trade, right, that has the Eagles landing a Steelers $65 million six-time Pro Bowler. Okay, so I'm very curious to see if you guys would do the trade. Now, maybe the heat and the sun's getting to me, I don't know. But I would not do this trade. I got to tell you, I believe in the guys we have, and I'm upfront saying no on this trade, okay? But here it is. Potential Eagles trade target Cameron Hayward is heading into a final year of a $65 million contract, okay? Now, what would the trade look like for the Eagles? What would a potential trade look for Hayward cost the Eagles? Knox estimates that Philadelphia could land the six-time Pro Bowler in exchange for a 2025 second-rounder and a 2026 fourth-round pick. This is what they say. Hayward may become more of a realistic trade target closer to the deadline. Not more than likely, 100%. If you make a move for a guy like this, it has to be at the trade deadline because of the amount of money he's making this year. So you would basically, you get him at the deadline, you would split. You would probably cut over half of that salary cap. Hayward may become more realistic trade target closer to the deadline depending on how his contract status and how Pittsburgh's season unfolds. Not detailed in July 18, 2024 story titled 2024 NFL Trade Block Big Board Entering Training Camp. And they were talking about Hayward, and basically what they're saying is that you could go out there and the Eagles could give a 2025 second round pick and then what was it, a fourth round pick? Was it a 2026 fourth round pick? So a second and a sixth, right? With 2 years, a window of making that trade. I absolutely would not do this trade at all. And here's why I wouldn't, right? Here's one of the big reasons why. Hayward is 35 years old. He's 6'5", 295, of course, 35 years old. He only had 2 sacks last year. He was hurt. But he's a double-digit sack guy. Hayward is a great player. There's no question about it. But for a 35-year-old, I am not giving you a second. I am not giving you a fourth, and then have to try to make him sign a huge mega contract extension. No. Why would I do that? I wouldn't do that. There are way better options, and I'm going to tell you, I'm a big believer in Jordan Davis. I'm a big believer in Jalen Carter. Those guys are going to be fine. I even like Milton Williams. He is going to be fine. I think the Eagles are going to be okay at defensive tackle. And if they need to go out and get somebody and get a veteran during the year, there are options that are going to be way, way better than that. So I have to tell you, right off the bat, there is no way in hell that I'm making this deal. I'm not doing it. I don't even understand how they can even propose it. A second round pick in 2025 for a 35-year-old guy? I mean, dude, they couldn't even get hardly anything for Reddick. You might as well kept Reddick. He's 5 years younger. Not that they say play the same position. They really don't. But, I mean, I think you got to trust in Jalen Carter. I think you got to trust in Jordan Davis. We got to trust in some of these guys and let them go out and play. The position, in my opinion, to go out and spend money in a trade would not be at defensive tackle. If you're going to use assets in a trade, go get Matt Judon. Go get him at edge rusher for a year, okay? Now, if you're in a situation, and let's say, forget what the trade offer was, but let's say you're in a situation where you get to the trade deadline, you need help at defensive tackle, you could get him for a late round pick, and he's going to come in for 1 year, and he's going to basically play the year out and then become a free agent. I'm okay with it. But I'm not signing him to an extension. So I was curious your guys' opinion on it. I absolutely hate it. I hate that trade proposal. I would not do it if I was the Eagles at all. Okay? Now, the other thing I got to talk about is this whole Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, and their relationship thing, because we're getting reports. Diana Rossini, she had a podcast, and on the podcast, they were talking about Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni's relationship and how it's still, quote, a work in progress. Here is a little bit of what she said about the situation.
Relationship that's a work in progress, right? So last year, there was some disconnect, right, between them in their personalities.
And that is brought to you by the Scoop City podcast. That was a podcast in which she was on. And what she's saying is basically what we all kind of thought at the end of the year. Isn't it interesting that you go into the offseason, we're all kind of focused on Nick Sirianni, it was Nick's problem, and then they fire all the coaches, and then it was everybody else's issue, and then it's been Jalen Hurts' issue, it's been the offensive coordinator's issue, and now as we're getting ready for training camp, it all circles around to Nick Sirianni again. The fact of the matter is this. That was Nick Sirianni's offense last year. He was trying to run his offense, and he was trying to basically force feed it to this team. However, as I say that, and as the offense wasn't good, the players obviously like him. There are a lot of players that went to bat for Nick Sirianni. So perhaps in this role as CEO, perhaps it's going to be a lot easier for him to work. And we'll see. Now, I do think Nick Sirianni's on a short leash. I think if Nick Sirianni starts out 2-4, 2-5, I think he gets fired. I do. And I'm a believer that before they hired Nick Sirianni and when they were trying to choose who they were going to hire as a coach, I believe it was between Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore. And I believe that the Eagles will look at Kellen Moore and say, you know what? We're not going to lose him at all costs. So I think Nick Sirianni is on the hot seat, but I think that the responsibility does really go to him and his offense. Now, he's not going to have a say in his offense. We'll see how he is as a coach. But, yeah, I mean, we had the stuff with Jalen Hurts not basically backing Nick Sirianni. There was a lot of hubbub about that. I thought it was kind of overblown because I thought just Jalen Hurts was being Jalen Hurts. I still think that. But when you think about A.J. Brown, you think about Devontae Smith, you think about Fletcher Cox, you think about Jason Kelsey at the time, even though two of those guys retired, they all had no problem with Nick Sirianni. They all thought it was insane that you would say, yeah, Nick Sirianni was a problem, he needs to be fired. But I can't help but wonder, if Nick Sirianni was the problem and it was his offense, then why did we get rid of Brian Johnson? Now, I'm not saying I wanted to keep Brian Johnson as an offensive coordinator. I don't know. But can we really put the blame on him? Is he really at fault? Was he basically the scapegoat? I mean, that's just being truthful. If Nick Sirianni was controlling the offense and the quarterback didn't like the offense, what was the problem with the offensive coordinator? Was it that the offensive coordinator couldn't stand up to the coach? Was it that the offensive coordinator wasn't ready to go out there and have his own playbook and run his own plays? Could he not be trusted in that situation? I don't know. I think Nick Sirianni got to the Super Bowl. I think he felt really good about himself, and I think he thought he had a lot more say than he did, and he basically tried to use it last year. Instead of, you look like his rookie year where his offense isn't working. And let's be honest, his offense didn't work when he tried to do it his rookie year. He gives it to Steichen. Steichen basically takes over the second half of his rookie coaching season. Eagles get to the playoffs. They lose to Tampa Bay. Then you go into the following season. You go to the Super Bowl. Well, as soon as Nick Sirianni is taken out of that offensive role as a play caller, guess what? The Eagles start winning games. They start moving the ball. They're successful. As soon as he goes back to trying to control the situation, guess what happens? The Eagles have problems. So yeah, I think it's probably safe to say that Nick Sirianni's problem with trying to play call and things like that was a problem. And hopefully with the addition of Kellen, that's going to change. And it's going to change big time. That's what we have to hope. But I'll tell you this, it's going to be an interesting season. It's going to be interesting as camp starts to see who really is controlling and running things. I don't think Nick's going to have power in terms of play calling, but will he get to a situation, let's say the Eagles go out, let's say they struggle here or there, will he feel the need to interject himself again? And how will Jalen Hurts feel about it? Does Jalen Hurts feel okay now that Nick isn't play calling, that he's more of a CEO? It's going to be a fascinating season, and we're just a few days away from finding out. I cannot wait. Now, here's just a quick announcement. There will be no Philly Shakedown. We will actually be restarting it Monday. It's the eve of camp. So we wanted to have like a training camp preview. So look for us to kick off this season with the training camp preview on Monday, and then we'll be every Saturday thereafter. Should be a lot of fun. I can't wait. And then I'll be traveling home on Saturday. So with that said, take care. I'll talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. Yes, I almost forgot. It's how I vision, baby. We're all just living in it. All right, okay, so I have a question I'm going to throw out to you guys. I don't know who would know this or not, but I'm very interested in like laser projector, right? Like, you know, one of those laser projectors where you get a screen, almost like a movie theater screen. You know, they could be as big as like 120, 150 inches. Are those things worth getting? And where the hell can I learn about those things? Because I find a lot of generic stuff, but I really want to know, like, is it better to do that and go that route? Or do I just go out and get like a OLED TV? I gotta know, because it's getting time to upgrade my main TV, and I don't know. So anybody that has any experience with this, let me know in the comment section. With that said, Denzel Washington out.
Hi, Michael Anthony, Fitness here, MAF.
That's all, folks.
The brother screwed us!